All right, this is Katie for GuideRALE doing the quarterly sprint video for winter quarter 2017. All right, so last quarter, I'll start with a brief summary of what we did last quarter and then jump into what we're planning on doing this quarter. So last quarter we did a lot of research and design on making concept maps and eliciting concept maps from testers, from both novice and expert web developers. We developed several different paper prototypes, iterated, and hopefully this quarter we will get to a point where we can take those paper prototypes and turn them into something technical. So I'll start with our project goals. The main goal of our project has been the same for now over a year, which is we want to, in short, help novice web developers learn how to code. And what we are doing now is targeting the gaps in their knowledge using concept maps to try to bridge the gap between experts and novices and how they think about how concepts are connected in web development. And hopefully, by the end of this project, we will develop a system that will allow novice web developers to think like an expert. So the motivation is that there's a gap right in here between tutorials and personal projects where a beginner will go through a few tutorials or a few intro level classes, and they want to build something on their own, but they do not have the skills yet to do so. So we are trying to fill this gap right in here. All right, so this quarter we defined a few goals that we want to set for ourselves. First is define necessary features we need through paper prototype user testing. We've already iterated on our paper prototype one more time. And I will go ahead and show our features. So here, prototype 3.0, it might even be 4 or 5.0 at this point. We want to add code snippets. We want to rewrite descriptions as things from outside sources instead of just things from Greg's head. We want to create a flow so that new connections appear as the learner navigates through our website instead of from before where it was just like it showed the whole map. Right now we want to show, we want to have kind of like a natural workflow. We also want to eliminate check-ins, which we had before because we didn't think we had done quite enough research on why those were good. So we're going to do more research on that this quarter. And we also got some feedback on the ability to click on actual words instead of just the connections. So we've done all of that. And hopefully this will be our last paper prototype, if not at least close to our last one, before we are ready to start building. So that brings us to our second quarter goal, which is to build a technical prototype for user testing. And I'll get more into this in our technical goals down below. But some things we wanted to start thinking about is, do we have enough feedback to start doing tech prototypes instead of just paper? And I think the answer is yes. We also want to make sure that we're demoing during SIG meetings, pretty much every meeting, at least something small. Our third goal is to define how we are going to test the prototype and also how we're going to determine what a successful prototype means by the end. In terms of like what we actually want it to do. Do we want a learner to be able to do like a full-blown website or a complicated thing, or are we okay with something more simple? We need to better define what success means. And lastly, we want to solidify our research claims and have a project in place where we can hand it off when we leave. I know I'm definitely leaving next quarter. I think Greg also is, so we want to have action plan / GuideRALE in a place where we can hand it off or wrap it up in a way that we're satisfied. I'm going to skip our design goals for now and come back to them later, maybe, but I think tech goals are more important right now. So what will our tech do by the end of the quarter? We want it to allow us to perform end-to-end user tests. What? All right, hang on. Small technical difficulties. All right, so before I was so rudely interrupted by Google signing me out, I was talking about technology goals this quarter. So what we want to do is have a relatively robust system by the end of the quarter that will allow us to take an aspect of a professional website and allow a learner to learn from it. So the way we want to do that is we've created a small little architectural diagram where we come up with a list of concepts. This might be Telescope, or we might just come up with something ourselves. We haven't quite decided yet. And a database of concept maps and links. And from here, the server will grab this data and give the learner a concept map. That is how it is connected to the front end. So this is very simple currently, but that's essentially what we're thinking. So the components are an API or a service that can get concepts from professional examples. These are going to be relatively simple at first, like the text box from the Airbnb website. Service that will generate the maps from the concepts, an interface for the users, and a database that stores all the information. We also came up with a few research goals and research questions that we want to answer this quarter. Is it possible to create a platform to draw from professional examples? We need to do a little more research on that. Is this the most effective way for novices to learn? Can we close this gap between experts and learners? And can we show that learners can overcome the coordination barrier using features from this technological prototype? I think that's about it in terms of what we thought of so far. So yeah, I'm going to sign off.